What happens when the people you trust most in the villa turn out to be playing a completely different game? Love Island USA Season 7 gave us Ace and Nicolandria, Nic, and Olandria forming what look like unbreakable bonds. We watched Shelley and Olandria become soul sisters. We saw Ace call Nic his brother for life. Taylor was caught in the middle, Huda caused chaos, Cierra stirred the pot, and the whole dating show became a masterclass in fake loyalty. But when the cameras stopped rolling and the Love Island reunion brought everyone back together, the receipts started piling up. Ace and Shelley's perfectly timed couple announcement, Shelley's questionable advice during the Olandria and Taylor situation, the pre-show connections, the calculated moves, and suddenly what looked like friendship started looking a whole lot like strategy. The tea that's been spilling from Love Island Season 7 isn't just hot, it's scorching. And today we're breaking down every single move that made fans question whether Ace and Shelley were ever really friends to Nicolandria or if they were just building their own brand the entire time.
Before we expose this whole situation, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. I promise I won't give you fake friendship energy like some people were about to discuss. Just real tea, no filter, every single time. When Olandria and Shelley walked into that Love Island USA villa together as the first two Islanders, something special seemed to form instantly. They weren't just villa buddies or strategic allies, they called each other soul sisters. Shelley said Olandria wasn't getting rid of her, that they were stuck together forever. In every interview, every confessional, every quiet moment, these two seemed inseparable. Olandria trusted Shelley with everything, her fears, her feelings, her vulnerabilities about being the strong woman who everyone assumed could handle anything.
Then there was Ace and Nic, brothers. That's what Ace called him repeatedly. Not just friends, not just villa mates, but actual brothers. The kind of bond that's supposed to last beyond the show, beyond the drama, beyond everything. Ace played the hype man role perfectly, always supporting Nic, always there with good vibes, always talking about how much he cared about Nic and Olandria like family. These friendships looked genuine. They felt real in the moment. Viewers watching at home saw these connections and believed in them completely. Because why wouldn't you? The villa is intense. 24/7 surveillance, constant pressure, relationships forming and breaking in days. In that environment, real bonds form fast. Or at least that's what we thought we were watching. But here's where things get interesting. Reality TV has this way of showing you what producers want you to see in the moment, but the truth always comes out eventually. And when Love Island Season 7 ended, when everyone left that villa and went back to real life, the cracks in these so-called unbreakable friendships started showing. Not small cracks either. We're talking full-on fractures that made people question if any of it was ever authentic.
The thing about friendship is, it's easy to play the role when everything's going well. It's easy to be supportive when there's no conflict, when you're both getting what you want, when supporting each other doesn't cost you anything. Real friendship shows up when things get messy, when you have to choose between what benefits you and what's right for your friend, when staying loyal means sacrificing something you want. That's when you see who's really in your corner. Let's talk about the Taylor situation, because this is where Shelley's actions started raising serious red flags. Taylor was interested in both Olandria and Shelley. Normal Love Island drama, right? Guy likes two girls, has to figure out his feelings, typical villa chaos. But here's what made this different. Olandria was ready to walk away from Taylor completely. She saw the signs, felt the disrespect, and made the healthy choice to cut things off and move on. That's when Shelley stepped in with her advice. She told Olandria not to give up on Taylor. She played devil's advocate, reminding her that Taylor supposedly voiced wanting to keep her there, that he was still open to getting to know both of them. Shelley convinced Olandria that no matter how many other connections she made, none would compare to what she had with Taylor. So Olandria, trusting her soul sister completely, went back to Taylor and asked him directly how he planned to navigate pursuing both of them. Taylor's response? He'd figure it out. He wanted to explore both connections. And then he proceeded to do absolutely nothing to actually pursue Olandria. She waited. She watched. She gave him the chance Shelley told her to give, and it went nowhere. So Olandria finally spoke up, confronted the situation, and learned some devastating information. Taylor admitted he was never actually attracted to Olandria. Never. The whole time Shelley was encouraging her to keep trying, to water that connection, to not give up, Taylor had already decided he wasn't interested. And here's the part that makes you wonder. Shelley was close with Taylor. They had their own connection forming. Did she know Taylor wasn't really into Olandria when she gave that advice? Did she encourage Olandria to keep chasing someone who wasn't interested while Shelley herself was building something with him? Even if Shelley didn't know Taylor's true feelings at first, what happened later makes it worse. Olandria revealed that during that same conversation where Shelley told her to keep pursuing Taylor, Shelley also said something else. Matter of fact, forget Taylor. But then, in the same breath, turned around and told her to still pursue him. That's not confusing advice from a concerned friend. That's contradictory, wishy-washy guidance that kept Olandria spinning in circles while Shelley kept all her options open.
A real soul sister would have told Olandria the truth she needed to hear. If Taylor wasn't showing effort, wasn't pursuing her consistently, wasn't making her feel chosen, a real friend says, walk away and don't look back. You don't encourage your girl to keep chasing someone who's lukewarm at best, especially when you're also interested in that same person. That's not protecting your friend, that's protecting your own position. If you needed more evidence that Shelley's loyalty was questionable, let's discuss Cierra. The kiss between Cierra and Shelley became a talking point that fans couldn't stop analyzing. Olandria brought up a valid point. She's not out here kissing her male friends who identify as something other than interested in women. That kiss felt like it crossed a boundary that went beyond friendly villa antics. And from what viewers remember, Cierra never identified as bisexual, which made the whole moment even more confusing. But the kiss itself isn't even the main issue. What really exposed Shelley's true allegiance was what happened after the show ended. Cierra came out publicly, multiple times, bashing Nic. Not subtle shade, not cryptic posts, but direct criticism of Nic while defending other people's actions. Cierra made her position clear. She wasn't Team Nicolandria. She had issues with Nic specifically, and she wasn't hiding it.
And Shelley? Still hanging out with Cierra, still posting with her, still maintaining that friendship despite Cierra actively going after Nic on social media and in interviews. Now, think about that for a second. If Shelley really considered Nic her brother through Ace, if she really considered Olandria her soul sister, how do you maintain a close friendship with someone who's publicly dragging them? You can't claim neutrality when your actions show exactly whose side you're on. People tried to defend Shelley, saying she was just trying to stay friends with everyone, that she didn't want to get involved in drama, but friendship isn't about staying neutral when someone you claim to love is being attacked. You don't have to be messy or confrontational, but you also don't continue giving your energy and platform to someone who's actively harming people you supposedly care about. That's not staying out of drama, that's choosing a side while pretending you haven't. The pattern becomes clear when you look at all of Shelley's moves together. Questionable advice to Olandria about Taylor, contradictory messages that kept Olandria confused and chasing someone who wasn't interested, maintaining friendship with Cierra despite her openly criticizing Nic. These aren't isolated incidents. They're a consistent pattern of conditional loyalty. Shelley showed up for Olandria when it was convenient, when it didn't conflict with her own interests, when supporting her didn't cost anything. But when Olandria needed real friendship, the kind that requires sacrifice or taking a stand, Shelley wasn't there.
Quick pause, because we're only halfway through this mess and it gets so much worse. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the Love Island drama, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next time I spill tea. Plus, your girl needs the validation. These subscriber counts are starting to make me feel lonelier than a dumped islander. Now, let's shift focus to Ace, because his story is just as problematic. During Love Island USA Season 7, Ace had his fair share of controversy. Fans called him controlling. They accused him of manipulating situations to benefit himself.
The vote that sent Huda home instead of someone else raised eyebrows. His interactions with certain islanders made viewers uncomfortable. There were whispers throughout the season that Ace was playing a calculated game, that he was more focused on winning than finding genuine connection. But Ace positioned himself as the good guy, the loyal friend, the brother who had everyone's back. He made sure cameras caught him supporting Nic constantly. Every opportunity to hype up Nicolandria, Ace was there. When Nic needed someone to talk to, Ace played that role perfectly. He built this image of himself as the ultimate villa brother, the guy who valued friendship and loyalty above everything.
Then there were the rumors about Ace and Shelley having a connection before the show even started. Nothing confirmed, but enough whispers to make people wonder if their villa romance was as spontaneous as they wanted everyone to believe. If they knew each other beforehand, if they had some kind of understanding or plan going in. That changes the entire narrative of their Love Island journey. It transforms their story from two people who found each other in the villa to two people who might have been working together from day one. The villa dynamics make more sense when you consider that possibility. Ace's protective behavior toward Shelley, the way they always seem to be on the same page about major decisions, how their friendship and eventual romance developed so smoothly while other couples struggled. If they had pre-show ties, then every move they made wasn't about finding love on a reality show. It was about positioning themselves as the couple to watch, the ones who'd come out on top when everything ended. Ace's control issues that fans picked up on during the season suddenly look less like personality flaws and more like strategic gameplay. When you're trying to manage outcomes, when you have a specific goal beyond just finding connection, you start controlling situations. You influence votes. You manage relationships. You make sure things go the way you need them to go. And if that means being labeled controlling or manipulative, well, that's just the cost of winning.
After Love Island USA Season 7 ended, Ace had the perfect opportunity to prove his loyalty to Nic was real. Brothers support each other after the show ends. They defend each other in interviews. They keep private conversations private and handle any issues away from public platforms. That's what real brotherhood looks like. That's what Ace claimed he and Nic had. Instead, Ace went on podcasts and interviews questioning whether Nicolandria was even real. He expressed doubts about their authenticity. He made himself the judge of their relationship, analyzing whether what they had was genuine or just for show. The audacity of that move is wild when you remember how many times Ace called Nic his brother in the villa. How many times he said he'd have Nic's back forever, that they were family beyond the show, that their bond was unbreakable. Real brothers don't go on public platforms and cast doubt on your relationship. If Ace had legitimate concerns about Nic, if he felt some type of way about how things went down, he had Nic's phone number. He could have called. They could have talked privately, worked through whatever issues existed, handled it like adults who actually care about each other. But that's not what Ace chose to do.
He chose to make Nic's relationship public content. He used his so-called brother's love story as material for podcast appearances. He positioned himself as the person who could see through the fake, who knew what was really going on, who had the inside scoop on whether Nicolandria would last. That's not concern. That's not brotherhood. That's using someone else's relationship to make yourself relevant in post-show interviews. The timing of Ace questioning Nicolandria's authenticity makes it even more suspicious, because right after those interviews, where he's throwing shade at Nic and Olandria's relationship, what happens? Ace and Shelley go official with their own couple announcement. The rollout was immediate. The connection between tearing down Nicolandria and building up their own brand couldn't be more obvious. When you think about brotherhood, about real loyalty, about what it means to have someone's back, Ace's actions are the complete opposite. He didn't defend Nic when Cierra and others came after him. He didn't support Nicolandria publicly. He didn't show up the way a brother should. Instead, he added fuel to the fire, gave critics more ammunition, and made himself part of the problem. That's not family, that's fake.
When Ace and Shelley finally made their relationship official,
The announcement wasn't a casual Instagram post or a cute candid photo. This was a production. Professional quality video, romantic music soundtrack, perfectly coordinated outfits, cinematic shots that looked like a trailer for a new show. And within hours, the Shade Room reposted it. Major entertainment outlets covered it. Their comment sections flooded with attention. It looked less like two people in love making their relationship public and more like a carefully planned brand launch. Every element was calculated for maximum impact. The timing, the presentation, the platforms they used, the way it was all coordinated. This wasn't spontaneous. This was strategic marketing for couple Ace and Shelley, the official brand they wanted to establish coming out of Love Island, USA. Compare that to how Nicolandria shared their relationship. More organic, more casual, more focused on each other than on creating content. The difference in approach tells you everything about priorities. When your goal is genuine connection, you share your relationship because you're happy and want to celebrate with people who support you. When your goal is building a brand, you create a rollout that maximizes visibility and positions you as the power couple everyone should follow.
The timing of the announcement is what really exposed the game they were playing. Right after publicly doubting Nicolandria's authenticity, right after Cierra and others have been going after Nic, right when the heat was on Ace for his questionable friendship moves, suddenly here comes this perfect couple reveal. Look at us. We're official. We're in love. We're the real deal. Please book us for partnerships and appearances. It felt like a distraction technique. Shift focus from the criticism by giving people something positive to talk about instead. Control the narrative by making yourselves the story rather than letting others define you. And it worked to some degree. People started focusing on Ace and Shelley's relationship instead of analyzing their problematic behavior toward their supposed friends. But fans who were paying attention saw through it. They remembered the receipts. They connected the dots between Ace's podcast comments and the sudden couple announcement. They noticed how convenient it was that right when questions about their loyalty came up, they dropped this massive relationship reveal that dominated social media for days. Strategic timing isn't coincidence, it's calculation.
When you lay out all the evidence side by side, patterns emerge that can't be ignored. Olandria gave Shelley everything a friend could give: unwavering support, trust, vulnerability, loyalty even when things got hard. She showed up for Shelley consistently throughout their time in the villa. And what did Shelley give back? Conditional friendship, support when it was convenient, advice that served Shelley's interests more than Olandria's well-being, loyalty that disappeared when it required sacrifice. Shelley was present for the fun moments, the easy times, the situations where being Olandria's friend didn't cost her anything. But when Olandria needed real friendship, when she needed someone to tell her the hard truth about Taylor, when she needed someone to defend her after the show ended, Shelley wasn't there. Or worse, Shelley was actively working against her interests while maintaining the appearance of friendship. Nic gave Ace the brotherhood treatment. He trusted him completely, defended him when others criticized him, treated him like actual family. And Ace? He played the role in the villa because it benefited his game. But once the show ended, and maintaining that loyalty meant possibly hurting his own image or brand, Ace switched up completely. He became the judge instead of the friend, the critic instead of the supporter, the person using Nic's relationship for content instead of protecting his brother's privacy.
Ace showed loyalty when cameras were rolling, and it made him look good. He disappeared when Nic actually needed support after the show. That's not selective friendship, that's performance. It's playing a role for an audience while having zero intention of maintaining it when the performance ends. And Ace and Shelley together? Their relationship might be genuine. They might actually care about each other. But the way they positioned themselves as a couple came at the expense of the people they claimed were family. They built their brand by distancing themselves from Nic and Olandria, by questioning their authenticity, by staying silent when others attacked them, by making strategic moves that elevated themselves while diminishing Nic and Olandria. That's not love getting in the way of friendship. That's ambition getting in the way of loyalty. There's a difference between growing apart from friends naturally and actively choosing to undermine them for your own benefit. Ace and Shelley didn't just drift away from Nic and Olandria. They made calculated decisions that hurt them while simultaneously boosting their own public image.
The receipts show Shelley wasn't ever truly the soul sister she claimed to be. Ace was never actually the brother he pretended to be in the villa. And together, they prioritized becoming the power couple over maintaining the friendships they swore would last forever. They gave great optics. They gave strategic gameplay. They gave carefully curated social media content. But they didn't give authenticity. They didn't give real loyalty. They didn't give genuine friendship. So here's where we land after examining all the evidence, all the questionable moves, all the suspicious timing. Shelley and Olandria's soul sister bond? It was one-sided, with Olandria giving everything and Shelley taking what benefited her while disappearing when real friendship was required. Ace and Nic's brotherhood? It was performance art that ended the second the camera stopped rolling, and maintaining it no longer served Ace's interests. And Ace and Shelley, as a couple, maybe they're genuinely in love. Maybe they found real connection in the villa. But the way they've handled their relationship publicly, the timing of their announcements, their treatment of Nic and Olandria, the strategic nature of every move they've made, it all points to something more calculated than just two people falling for each other and navigating friendships awkwardly. The question isn't whether Ace and Shelley like each other. The question is whether they ever valued loyalty, authenticity, and friendship as much as they valued winning, building their brand, and positioning themselves as Love Island USA's power couple. Based on the receipts, the answer looks pretty clear.
But what do you think? Are Ace and Shelley just misunderstood? Two people in love who made some mistakes navigating complicated villa friendships? Or were they playing a strategic game from the beginning, using friendships as tools to advance their own agenda, and dropping those connections the moment maintaining them became inconvenient? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear every single opinion on this mess. And if you made it this far into my analysis of the Ace, Shelley, Nic, and Olandria situation, you're clearly as invested in this Love Island drama as I am. So do me a solid and subscribe so we can keep dissecting reality TV chaos together. Hit that like button too if you enjoyed this deep dive. And stick around because Love Island USA always delivers drama worth discussing. And you know I'll be here breaking down every messy moment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.